All right, we're live. We're on the internet. I am DTM, and if those of you out there can hear me, say something in the chat so that I can make sure that everything is running correctly. And if my audio's off, let me know. And I am going to turn off the audio. I am DTM, Delta Tango Mike. Turn off the music. Delta Tango Mike. You can find me anywhere on the internet. Delta Tango Mike. There's a camera back there. And that's where the people can see us. And I'm going to switch over to my screen and jump in real quick into what are we here for today. This is a short stream today. So anybody who's watching this right now, make sure you check the links in the description of the video because we have a list of classes and workshops every other Saturday here at Binders Art. This is Binders Art. This is the classroom. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Find a spot anywhere you want. And this is the classroom. I just started talking, so you haven't missed much. And I am streaming it and recording it. Okay? Yeah. And so I'm gonna talk for a few minutes, and then we'll jump into a discussion. Okay? Yeah. All right. How'd you hear about today? Meetup. Oh, good. All right. That's good. The meetup is finally working. Well, welcome. I am DTM, Delta Tango Mike. Like I said, you can see my screen kind of. And need to have an idea what I'm going to do next time. See a little bit. And today, we're here at Binders because it's the intro to the classes and workshops that we're going to have coming soon every other Saturday. And so let me jump into the website. Vector Maestros is the website where you'll find all the classes. Vector Maestros is the website where I have a lot of information related to art, design, and the business of art. So we'll get into why you're here, but I just want to do a quick overview. On the live classes tab, you can see all the classes that are coming up. And so today is the classes preview and drawing session. And then every 2 weeks, there's going to be other stuff. And we'll talk about Adobe apps. I'll touch on it today, but we'll talk about Adobe apps. And I'll have extra devices. So if you don't have one and you want to try it, you can use one of mine. We're going to have a sketch lab session. And this is a weekday one where I'll be here most of the day, just hanging out, drawing, bring a bunch of stuff that we can share. Not saying that you should come every weekend. I'm just giving you an overview, okay? Artist King is where we'll talk about the business of art. Then Adobe User Group is we'll talk about AI, and this is gonna be in November. So in October, this is next, and then a few weeks is Adobe Max. So I don't know if you paid attention to any Adobe stuff, but almost every app is gonna include AI now. And there was an announcement with Windows a week or so ago, and lots of things in Windows 11 is going to have AI also. So it's something to talk about. Me, I like to draw my hands. So digital art on November 25th. We're going to go over all kinds of digital art for any different programs for any device. So if you have a Windows, Android, or whatever, we're going to explore different ones so that you can get started, even on your phone. I can draw on my phone too. Then we'll have a holiday session for the sketch labs all day. We're just drawing a couple of hours, and hopefully we'll draw some Christmassy stuff. And then digital art with the iPad and iPhone. That's strictly if you have an iPad or an iPhone. And that's all I have for now. So it's a bunch of stuff along with the live streams. I don't know if you paid attention to the meetup, but I do try to add the live streams that I do Monday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. I do a free live stream where we go over different art things, kind of like what I'm going to go over today. And if you have any questions at any time, please jump in. Okay, but then the next 15 minutes, I'll be done with this part and we can just have normal conversation if you want. All right. So on this table, there's a lot of coloring pages, right? So I brought some coloring pages that I made. I made them myself. I just did the artwork. And I printed them out last night on my home copier and printer. And so, and what I want to do is go over like, how do I go from sketching and drawing on something to then on the iPad with Fresco, and then end up with a actual uh, physical thing that you can take with you. And I'm also going to share some stickers, and this is how I make my art for my stickers also. So you guys get to be the first ones to have some of these. I'll pass these out in a minute, okay? And but basically, I have my art. It doesn't just live on a drawing like this, and this is one of my drawings too. Is I take it, I work on it, and then it ends up somewhere. Slap it on something, and even as in my art, has even gone as big as 36 feet long mural that we installed at the Beltline, and it all starts like this. So let me go ahead and show you and make sure that I do have screen there. Okay, good. So let's do hide all here. So what I'm working in right now, this is Adobe Fresco. Adobe Fresco is a drawing and sketching app that is for iPad only. You can, if you have a Windows computer that supports certain kind of hardware, then Fresco shows up. If you don't, then you got computers. You have Photoshop and Illustrator, but Fresco is really a cool and easy drawing app. You can sit there and sketch. You use Apple Pencil and start drawing. And so this sketch is it's a one part of 13 sketches that I ended up doing. Boom. And so the idea that I had, because it's a Hispanic Heritage Month, I did two drawing sessions in the past few weeks. One is at the library, the other one at the Museum of Civic and Human Rights. And I wanted to bring some coloring pages, and I also wanted to bring some paintings. I worked on 7 paintings. I finished 4, and because I had 7 canvases, so I was like, all right, well, let me do 7 paintings so that I can bring them to these events. Well, as I started drawing these sketches, I did a layout for. I started for 7, then I did a layout for 9. I did a grid. I just kind of sketched out a grid here, and then as I finished the 9 grid, I started setting up my Illustrator file, which is how I ended up printing these. And so when I started doing the sketches and I got to 9 and set up my Illustrator file, I did 12 layouts in Illustrator, and I was like, maybe I should just draw 12. And then by the time I finished 12, Aztecs have a calendar count of 13. So I said, well, let me do 13. So I just decided, and I think it was just kind of like the subconscious mind saying, don't stop drawing. This is cool. And so I ended up drawing 13 of them. And so once I finished these sketches, I started working on the vector. And so there's if you familiar with Illustrator, anybody? Yeah? Familiar with Photoshop? You know that those are 2 different types of programs, and the art is different, right? And so in vector, it's like connect the dots. The art in Illustrator is like connect the dots. You have 4 points, you make a line, and well, you got a square or a rectangle. And no matter how big you make that rectangle, the math inside Adobe Illustrator gives you the artwork still sharp and crispy no matter the size. But in Photoshop, no matter what you draw, as soon as you start stretching out too far, you start seeing the pixels. And so Photoshop, it's called a raster or bitmap, and that's why you see pixels. But then inside the same program, Fresco, this is why I like Fresco. Inside the same program in Fresco, you go from pixels, you see all those pixels right there, so then a vector brush that still looks sharp and clean no matter what size you're in. So they made some magic. Adobe made some magic where you can have both of those types of art in the same program. But the super cool part of Fresco is that now you can just draw it. You don't need that pen to make the dots to then create the vector art. You can just use a pencil and start drawing. And of course, it has a lot of overdrawn lines and so on, because it's more of that organic looking drawings than if it was a straight vector so on, like in Illustrator. And so this is what I started to do then. I started to work on the vectors for these drawings because I want to be able not to just make a coloring page. I want to be able to then also color them in myself and make posters or make t-shirts or make stickers. And now I have a high resolution vector file that can be printed however I want. I can make a whole mural with those drawings right here, and it still looks sharp and clean. So once I started working with the vector file, with vector brushes in Fresco, I then organized the page as a coloring page. I made the picture bigger. I fit it on the page. I put a frame on it. I did put my signature and the name of that Aztec god. So this is a bunch of Aztec gods. There's 13 of them, and I did them all in the same file. So all right here, just like that. And let me check we're good. Okay. And so I'm turning the layers on. And so with paper and pencil, one thing that you do is sometimes you start a sketch and you draw very light, so that you can kind of build the drawing out. In digital, you use layers. It doesn't matter how hard you draw. You can always turn down the opacity on that layer and then draw another layer and clean up your sketch and your drawing. Kind of like working with tracing paper. Put another tracing paper, another tracing paper, another tracing paper. So I finished my coloring pages, each individual Aztec god, and then I exported from Fresco to Illustrator. And there it is on the top right. It says open a copy in Illustrator iPad or desktop. And so I opened on Illustrator iPad, and it took us here. So I have several apps on my iPad here. And there's Adobe Illustrator. And there's that mess right there. That is all 13 Aztec gods together. Let's see. Oh no, it's gonna stop. Let's see what happens. Well, there they are now. So here's the layers, and there's the Aztec gods. And oh yeah, this off there. I brought them all in at one time. And on the iPad, you can still work on those vectors and make adjustments and changes however you want. So as an example, and I need my pencil. Yep.
Yeah, he separated each.
Yes, right. And yes, and there is an actual folder. Each one of those has a name, and that's a folder in itself. And inside of that folder, there's all these paths. That's what we call them, these lines, and they're all stuck in there. In that okay. Get that off. Pencil. There we go. People on the internet are watching, checking for comments and stuff. Okay, so let's see. There it is. So you see, like if I want to move this wherever I want to put this, just move it around. What's cool about vector versus raster is that even like when you take a picture of yourself and let's say you want to move something out the way or whatever on your photo, you have to make a selection, cut it, or you select it and then move it around, and now you have a hole where that piece was and stuff. And here in vector, we don't have that problem because everything has its own layers, and so no matter where you move it is how you set it up that it's going to look, and you start from scratch. So there's nothing already there that you start working with. You have to put it there, everything that's on there. And so there's so that's an example of this. And so in this layer, we have this Aztec god. I can turn it off and turn the eyeball on for this one. Turn that off, turn the eyeball for that one, and so on and on and on. So this is the file that came out of Fresco. And that's what's cool about some Adobe apps is that they talk to each other, so things can just move from one place to another, and it's called the Creative Cloud, etc. And right, no, yeah, because that's terrible, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, And so then I don't have that file here because it's on my computer, but where I actually worked on all the, and I do have pictures as a matter of fact, where I worked on all of the individual pages separately because they all have different names. And so this is my Behance. I mentioned this earlier, Behance, and there's the Azteca Moderno project. So this is a breakdown of how it went down. Thank you, Kasim, for joining us. Shuvo, welcome to the stream. We got people. And so on my Behance, it's an online portfolio. I have everything organized in a way where you can see how I did something. And so this is the Azteca Moderno series for 2023. It's 13 of them, and so there's the sketches of all 13, right? So I did a small rectangle as my guide for my thumbnail, and then I did the sketches. After that, I started working on each one individually to make sure that it had the details that I needed, that I wanted. They're all right there, all the way to then. Then I did a vector where I redrew it again, but now nice and clean. And so this is like working with pencil. And then when you're happy with the pencils, then you come in with your pen and ink, and then you draw it, and then erase the pencils. So this is what we have here. And I have a sample of all of them. They're down here. All of them are right there. See each and every individual one. And then finally, once I brought them into Adobe Illustrator, like I just did now, I separated them so they're not all piled on top of each other. Now they all have their own page. And so from here is where I started to then fix the name. El Azteca Moderno is the Instagram. And so each one has their own name. Each one has their own name and their own layout. And then I went from red to all the grayscale so that when I print them out, it doesn't kill my printer, because I'm just printing it at my house. Boom. And then there's all of them right there. And if you go visit my Behance, at the very bottom, you have the actual coloring pages. You can save these, or even click and download the whole PDF of the 13 pages. Boom. Just like that. It's my art. I want the world to have it. If somebody gives me money for it, that's great. But right now, this is and so this is like an example of the classes and workshops that we'll be doing here. And whatever we're touching on, we'll talk about it. I'll show you examples. Bring your questions. Bring your devices. Bring your sketchbooks. I want to see your drawings. I want to see what's going on with you, and then and we'll take it from there. That make sense? A little bit. Okay, cool. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for joining us on the internets. We're going to continue the conversation here. And I am DTM, Delta Tango Mike. This is Binders Art in Buckhead. It is free to come through and check us out. The links are on the description of the video. VectorMaestros.com is the website. And you can find out more about the upcoming classes, the times and dates. And come and see us and check us out. The next time, I'm DTM. Peace out. Good. Am I weird? Am I weird? All right, we're going to take a moment to